Okay, today we are going to actually combine a couple of things because I do want to make sure that we get through, and this is officially close to the end for school. So lesson 12.11, page 487 is where we're going to start. And the reason I'm going to combine these is because this is really just good practice for the actual test. So all we are wanting you to do in lesson 12.11 is to look at the pattern and decide what the relationship is between the numbers. So in this case, if this didn't say yards and feet up here, but you were looking at this like for every one of something, there's 3 of this. Well, the only logical ones that fit here are yards and feet. And so sometimes there will be a chart of some kind, and you have to think about for every one of something, there are 7 of something. And so what relationship is that we're looking for there? Now, you might go back and get out that chart that we had originally started with some of our customary units. And I think at one point in time, I suggested maybe you do the same thing for the metric units, or at least you know where to look to go back and find those at. You might look there. And if I look there, I see that there isn't for every one, that's not a 7. For every 1, that's not a 7. And on any of these cases here on this chart that we wrote out, there isn't 1 for 7. But you'll want to think about what you know, and then you also maybe want to go back in the book and figure out where you have seen that relationship before. And you may even go here and see if there is anything that is 1 and then equaling 7 something. And I see it on this one, so that's a good place for you to start. But let's go back up. This tells you that the table at the right relates yards and feet. You can think of the numbers in the table as number pairs. 1 and 3, 2 and 6, 3 and 9, 4 and 12, and 5 and 15 are number pairs. The number pairs show the relationship between yards and feet. 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. 2 yards is equal to 6 feet. 3 yards is equal to 9 feet, and so on. So when you come down here, it's talking about Lillian making the table below to relate 2 units of time. So that's your first clue. It's not length. It's not measuring what mass. It's time. So if I'm thinking about, there's not 7 seconds in a minute. So what units of time does the pattern in the table show? So you would think, well, the only one that makes any sense at all is going to be 1 week has 7 days. By the way, I gave Craig the afternoon off, so that's why I am doing this solo. So then it wants you to list the number pairs. So you would go on to list 1 and 7, 2 and 14, 3 and 21, 4 and 28, 5 and 35. And the relationship really is for every 1 week, there are 7 days. So for each week, there are 7 days. That way, the next one makes sense, and so does the one after that. As in, for every week, 7. So since there's 2, that'd be 7 plus 7. For 3, it'd be 7 plus 7 plus 7. And so the second number in each pair is 7 times as great as the first number. So it is 7 times the first number. The number is 1 times 7 is 7. 2 times 7 is 14. 3 times 7 is 21. So you could explain it that way as well. you look over here, it says to try this. Now, it's saying Jasper made this table below to relate two customary units of liquid volume. What customary units of liquid volume does the pattern in the table show? So you'd have to label here, and you might, it talked about customary. That relationship might be on this. Ooh, and there might even be more than one option. So if it were me, I would do gallons. Aren't you glad I haven't been doing this without Craig all along? I'm not very good at running the camera, and well, I already wasn't very good at running the camera, but at least I had him to write. Okay, so for every gallon is 4 quarts. I think the same could be quarts and cups, actually. But then you would talk about, you'd list the number of pairs here, 1, 4, 2, 8, 3, 12, and so on. And then the relationship between the numbers in each pair. And I'm gonna actually write this out so that you know if that question comes up again, you can use it as a model to answer the next one. So a possible description would be the second number, that's this one, second number over there on that side. The second number in each pair is 4 times as great as the first number. Okay, and then label the columns we already did. Okay, so you can answer this question, what other units could you use? We talked about that too. And then it says explain, but you could just say for every 1 quart, there are 4 cups. And then the show and share here, which one is 24 times as great as another unit? But be careful, it's asking units of time. So you're gonna go back to that one, really, that talks about units of time. And you're looking for the one that has 1 over here on this side, a 1 and a 24 on this side to do the answer for that one. And I know that one's a show and share, but I'll have you go ahead and try that one too, since I don't have my helper. And then number 2, which one, this talks about custom, you have to look here, customary units. So which one has for every 1, there's 2. And I'm thinking you could probably use this chart again. Okay, there's 1 that would work. For every 1, there's 16. So tell me, label those charts. And I didn't think that this was too hard since you weren't coming up with the numbers. You're really just coming up with which ones. This one's units of time. This one's metric. So be real careful that you go back into your notes or into your book and you look in the right spot. But because I didn't think there was too much work with that, I went ahead and yeah, there is some problem solving. And then there is your skinny book can be done as well. Front. Oh no, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, maybe not. And back. So you can go ahead and do those, but I also want you to look at your skinny book on chapter 12 extra practice. And I want you to use all of your notes, including these things right here that we did. Not all of them are on here, but when we created those charts, we could have continued adding to it. And I want you to try to do the extra practice. And, you know, if you need to go back to the actual lesson, 12.10, and review how to do those types of problems, go ahead and do so. 12.9 and 12.11 were together because we jumped to 12.10 is up here. So 12.9, 12.10, 12.11. These were just similar or could have been combined. And that's why I am kind of combining 12.11 so that we can get onto some area and perimeter later in the week. So I'm going to go ahead and have you pause it. And then I'm going to show you the answers for the pages 12.11. But then I'll have to load in the comments. I'll have to have Craig do his extra practice. For whatever reason, our curriculum doesn't give us the answers to the extra practice. So I will make sure I fill that out and upload it into the comments. So you can check that sometime on Monday or today, sometime today before going on to the test on Tuesday. So go ahead and pause your video and then I will show you the answers to these that we are looking for. I think you needed this here. This page. This page. It's a lot of writing. I have to pause the video and try to read it. Skinny. The back. And remember, I will upload this extra practice in the comments sometime today. You'll see it there. Might be there already. And then you can check your work before tomorrow. We will be doing the chapter 12 test, and then we will be not finishing a whole nother chapter, but kind of hit or miss just to get us through the end of the year. I want to make sure we review perimeter and area and do a couple things out of chapter 11. I'll look through it and make sure I know where we're headed for the final countdown. Okay? All right. Bye.